Performing math in Java involves more than just the arithmetic operators. You also want to be able to perform more advanced functions such as finding the absolute value of a number or getting a number's square root. To do those kinds of operations, you use a special class that's built into Java called the math class. And in this lesson I'm going to demonstrate 5 or 6 of those functions just so you'll see how they work. Let's start off with absolute value. If we want to find the absolute value of a number, we'll start out with a variable with a value of -100. To find the absolute value, we use the ABS function, which is part of the math class. To call that function, we name the class math specifically, followed by a period, followed by the name of the function, ABS, followed by the argument to the function, which would be our variable number. So let's save that program, then compile it. And we'll see that it finds that the absolute value of -100 is +100, which is exactly right. Let's do another one. This time let's take the square root of number, see what we get. So for that we call the math class again, followed by the function we want, which is square root, sqrt, and its argument, which is number again. Save the file, go back to our DOS prompt, compile, and run, and we'll see that it cannot determine the square root of -100. So let's modify number's value to 100. Save, compile again, and then run it, and there we'll see that the square root of 100 is 10. Another use of the math function is to find the maximum and minimum of a number. So let's take a look at that. Let's create another variable called number2, and then let's use the function called max to determine which number is greater. So we call that with max after the math class, math.max, followed by the two numbers that we want to pass to the function, in this case the variables number and number2. And it will return the greater of the two numbers. Let's compile and run, and so it returned the 100. Let's do the same thing with minimum. This time I'm going to copy and paste and just change max to minimum to save a little typing time here. Change this to min. Click File, Save. Compile and run. And there we see this time that the minimum of 130 is 30. I mentioned in the last lesson that to perform exponentiation you have to use a function in the math class. That function is pow, and let me demonstrate how that works next. We'll just write out a result here. So let's say we want to take 4 and raise it to the third power. We do it just like that. Math.pow, P-O-W, and then 4 raised to the third power. The base is the first argument, and the exponent you want to raise it to is the second argument. So let's save that. Let's clear the screen because we're getting a little messy there. Compile and run, and we see the 4 to the third is 64. Notice that a lot of these functions return double values. That's to ensure that we don't leave any fractional part out. Not all of these functions will work with fractional parts, but in case they do, they return doubles to make sure that we don't lose any information. We're going to talk more about how you can lose information in a Java arithmetic expression in the next lesson. Let's look at one more function from the math class. This is the round function. Round will take a number and round it up or down depending on the value passed to it. Final double pi equals 3.14159. System out print line math.round pi. Now we're not modifying pi because it is a final, but we can return its rounded value. So let's save that, compile, and run. And so you see that pi rounds down to 3. Just for fun, let's say pi was 3.64159. And let's see what happens when we round up. So we'll compile and run, and you'll see there at the bottom that 3.64 rounded up to 4. So that's how the round function works. So these functions will come in very handy for you when you're doing advanced mathematics in Java. And you should probably become familiar with the math class, and to look at examples of all the functions, just Google Java math class and you'll find a whole listing of all the available functions and the different arguments that they take and the values that they return. That wraps up my discussion of the math class, and in the next lesson I want to talk about mixed Java arithmetic expressions. And by mixed I mean where we're mixing floating point numbers with integer numbers. There can be some unexpected results when you do that, and I want to talk about that in the next lesson.